Development Management, and I welcome you all to the Dialogues on Development Management, DODM 2025. And I'm sure all of you would have been hearing since morning how DODM is India's leading conference on development management, on reimagining that how do we build and how we lead better social purpose organizations. And now we are heading towards one of the most interesting sessions in DODM, which is called Flattening the Pyramid, Distributed Decision Making for Success. Through 3 powerful TED Talks, this session explores the when, the how, and the why of the idea of decentralization. And most importantly, you will not just hear today, but also reflect it in context of your organization with the help of the blueprint activity that you just received from the volunteers. Let me again repeat it. This is not your usual session with typical presentations and panel discussions on the stage, rather an experiential one where each of you will be participating along the way. Now, I'll take a moment to introduce who has been instrumental in designing this whole session and who is also going to be the moderator for the day, Gayatri Nair Lobo, CEO of Educate Girls. Can we have a quick round of applause for Gayatri? Over to you, Gayatri. Guys, excited for an experiential session? Yes, please. I know it's an evening time and you all are very, very, low on energy. No? I have a fever today, but still see my energy level, so you can still be like, yes. Yes.
Okay, so good evening, everybody. Lovely. Nice to have such an engaging audience. So Komal gave me this very tough task of making sure that the last session of the day is engaging. I need you to work with me. We'll try and keep this conversational, but I will need most of the work to be done by you. I am, as they call, the sutradhar of today. So today's session is around flattening the pyramid, on decentralized or distributed decision making, and how we as organizations can build that within our own organizations, and how we as leaders can enable that for our teams. As she said, the session is going to be a little different. There's no skit, unfortunately. Sorry about that. What we will have, though, is 3 speakers. Each of them will do short, sharp presentations on their experiences with decentralized decision making. What I will have you do, though, is work throughout. Sorry about that. You thought you can relax last session. Sorry. But hopefully what you will leave with today is some understanding of what you need to do when you go back, not home, but to your offices. What you, if you're not the leader in your organization, what you can actually advise your seniors to be doing within your NGOs, your donor funder organizations, whatever you are, and how you can actually make decentralized decision making happen and why it should happen. So if you're not convinced, hopefully you will be convinced by the end of today. What I'm going to explain to you is what you have in your hands first, right? So you've got these sheets of paper. There's one set of papers which is just colored sheets. And there's another set of papers which is like a thesis document, which is your blueprint. So you keep that aside for now. We're going to use the colored sheets. One of the things we wanted to do was like, the Mentimeter. You guys have used Mentimeter? But there's no network here, so we can't do Mentimeter. So we're going to go old school, and we're going to do it physically. Okay, so I'm going to ask you a few questions. Depending on your answer, you pick up a color of the colored sheet. So it'll be blue if it's a yes. It'll be a yellow if it's a maybe, or I'm not sure. And it's a pink if it's a no. Everyone got that? I want to see green if you got that. Oh, sorry, blue if you got that. Yeah? Any confusion? Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so let's go to question 1. In the last 7 days, have you individually in your organization made more than 3 important decisions? Okay, now important decisions, okay? Not what should I eat for lunch today. That's important, but it doesn't affect your organization. Okay. Interesting mix here. Yeah, okay, very interesting. So we're kind of, I would say, 1/3 of each color. So there are quite a few who are not sure, including my own team, which is scary. And there are some pinks and some blues. Okay, pink. Do you want some? You can take this. Okay. Second question. Does your organization already have distributed decision making? Because otherwise this might be a waste of your time. I see lots of blues, some yellows, a couple of pinks. Lots of blues. That's very interesting to know. I'm very happy to see that. I'm hoping it's not that you think that, but actually you're not. But we'll see through the rest of the session. Okay. Statement number 3. Do you believe that it's actually necessary or not? So pink if you don't. Okay, so there's a unanimous, which is probably why you're sitting here and not in the other session. So thank you for that. But it's good to see that everyone is for it. We'll go through the session today and you can see what you need to be doing in your organizations further, what's already happening, and hear from other people's experiences. But let's see what the rest of the sector says. Like this might be a highly biased group that I'm talking to today. Interestingly, it's actually the sector is not very decision making is not really decentralized. 78% of organizations, the final decision lies with the senior management. So if you want to start engaging with the community slightly differently because you think that's what the community needs where you work, sorry, you have to get it approved by HO. Right? Unfortunately, that is the reality. Only 20% of organizations allow decisions to be made by frontline staff on operational issues, not even strategic issues, on operational issues. Yeah? And most NGOs still rely on headquarters to approve things like budget changes, hiring decisions, all of that lies there. I mean, in my head, I'm thinking that's so exhausting for the head office to have to be in charge of everything, but I guess some people do prefer that. At Educate Girls, we're slightly different. Our 23,000 volunteers and our field staff, they are the ones working with the community. They understand what the community needs. But decision making is not just about what community needs. What we also have is an infusion of our culture across the organization. So everyone understands that decisions have to be made keeping the most vulnerable girl front and center. So that culture that we've been able to put through across the organization is something that then enables this kind of decision making. So we do see that, however, there is a shift emerging. There are at least 25% of organizations who are ready to experiment with decentralized decision making, probably all of you in this room. And there are also decisions which are being made in a more participative manner. So there are conversations that are had with those who it affects most. They are brought into the decision making process, but that's not really decentralized, it's just a consultative process, right? So, but you can see that there are conversations happening and they're shifting. Yeah. So right now we're talking about the organization. Yeah. So I'm going to ask you to look at your sheets. There's a set of questions for you to reflect on your own organization. Thank you. Take a couple of minutes to answer that. It's very simple. Should not take you more than 2 minutes. And the faster you do it, the faster we can get our first speaker. You can lift your blue sheets once you're done. Thank you. We have fastest finger first here. Don't look at the second 2 sheets, just the first one, which is like a survey. Now, whatever you're writing here is for you. It's personal. You can make changes to it, scratch it out. However, if you're willing to share, we have volunteers here who will take pictures, which will feed into research that's being done. Okay, I'm going to move on. You can continue looking at your sheets later. We have a very exciting speaker. We have Jigisha Maheta from SEWA Cooperative Federation. And Jigisha is going to start the first TED Talk, and over to you.
Thank you, Gayatri. Namaste, everyone. I'm sure चाय पीने के बाद अब सबका वापस से मूड आ गया है सुनने के लिए. So let's start. Let's go a little bit in past. When I was first reading a book called Anubandh by our beloved founder, Srimati Elaben Bhatt, she offered a simple question. Who am I connected to and how am I responsible to that? This question stayed with me and I'm still thinking that who am I connected to and how am I responsible? This idea, Anubandh, was not just a philosophy to her. It was way of organizing, way of living, way of leading for all the informal women workers in the country. So when we look at many of the civil society organizations nowadays, which has started with a deep dive mission, a passion to serve, are growing into structured institutions. And when this growth happens, something shifts. Decisions are being made far away from the field. The work gets centralized. And in our idea to scale, our effort to scale, we many times miss the ground realities for which we have started the work, for which we have started the organization. SEWA's story begins little differently. In early 1970, the informal women workers of Gujarat, who were agricultural laborers, weavers, artisans, were told by bank, you're not bankable, you're too poor, you're illiterate, you are risky. Then these women came together and said, fine, we'll build our own bank. We are poor, but so many. And that was the starting of SEWA Bank. 4,000 informal women coming together, pouring 10 rupees each to build the capital of bank. A bank gone by, owned by, run by informal women workers, not just as users or beneficiaries, but as decision maker. And that was a tangible move. That was a political act which flipped the scale. And that was just a starting. SEWA Bank was just a starting in early 90s, 70s. When informal women workers were denied to work by the contractor because they unionized, they were denied for fair wages. Then all of them came together, said, it's okay, let's do it ourselves. Let's build our own tools, our own time, our own decisions. Let's collectivize. Not just as moral stance, but the practical one. Under Women Enterprise Support System, SEWA Cooperative Federation has promoted over 110 cooperatives over the years, and whose annual turnover is 300 crores, which is a significant number in country's GDP, you know. And for that, more than 3 lakh informal women comes together, leading their own enterprises in various sectors like agriculture, dairy, handicraft, care, health, and many more. And that is what we call decentralization. At SEWA, we call it dignity. Dignity of our informal women workers, our sisters. Fine. सुनने में बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है. Very inspiring. But we must be thinking, हमको क्या लेना? What it has to take with other CSOs of the sector. Let me tell you what we are observing nowadays, all of us sitting here, that there is a growing gap between strategic decisions, strategies, and the ground realities. Mid-levels and senior levels are burning out. Most of the Organizations are overly reliant on founders, CSOs. And people, they disengage because they don't have voice. And when they disengage, system collapse. A recent report by ISDM says that almost 36% of the organization converts their strategy into the action which is accessed by and used by all the levels of the organization. In over 92% of the organizations, risk management is done by leadership. Only 32% of them involve the project staff. Look at this number, where are we? Yes, we are growing, we are moving, we are strategic, but we are not inclusive. At SEWA, it functions a little differently. As you are seeing in the video, women elect their own board member. They vote for all their major decisions. And they all are trained in governance, compliance, finance management, risk management, not just once. It's an ongoing, continuous process because when you wish someone to lead tomorrow, you must equip them to lead. That is what we do. I remember one of our cooperative member came to me once and she told me in Gujarati, જે માહિતી મારા મેનેજર પાસે છે એ મારી પાસે પણ છે. The information my manager has, I have too. That's just not transparency. That's a shared voice. It's a shared power. It's a decentralization. So yes, that is what the transformational governance looks like. और हम ये नहीं बोल रहे कि हम सबको कोऑपरेटिव बन जाना है. Yes, we all of us are not required to be cooperatives, but we all can act more cooperatively. Why don't you ask these 4 questions to yourself? What decisions can be taken more closely to the field? What knowledge can be shared more openly at all the level of the organization? Where are we holding the control and why? Where are we holding the power? Is it required? Are we training those whom we expect to lead tomorrow? These 4 questions are really important for any organization. And many of you will be agree to this, right? So it's decentralization is not chaotic. It's not a problematic. It's about trust in your own system, in your own people, which create a system which just don't wait for the permissions and approvals to act. It acts as and when required. It acts when the risk management is required. And when we are inclusive, we are structured, we are taking decisions very collectively. We are not building an organization. We are building a movement. And that again brings us back to what Ilaben has asked. Who are we connected to? And how are we responsible to them? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jigisha Ben. That was truly inspiring. And I think one question that I'm left with is the statement, what information my manager has, I have it too. And think about that. Think about asymmetry of information and how that can lead to poor decisions or holding back decision making. In your sheet, right, you'll have one column which says speaker insights. That was my speaker insight. So write whatever you feel stood out to you. And maybe if you already know what needs to change in your organization, but if you just write down your insights right now, that would be great. I'm going to call on Mathew next. Mathew is the country director for American India Foundation Trust, and he's actually gone through the process of going from a hierarchical structure to one that is regional and a matrix structures, how he described it.
Great. You can hear me?
Yeah.
Right, great. So nobody loves change. It's very rarely that you find people who are desirous of change and wanting to change and eager for change. Usually, the situation makes you change. And for my organization, I represent the American India Foundation, the moment for change actually came in 2020. Until then, we were an organization getting funds from the US and India and giving it to a grassroots organization to implement, which was the model for almost all international NGOs those days. So we had up to 200 partners across India, every state. Maybe a few states of Northeast are not there, but across India. So what happened? The rule came in that you can't sub-grant. Now you can't work with partners. What do we do? Either you fold up or you change. So we started on an initiative to actually become a nationwide grassroots NGO. The work that we do is actually dependent on the community that we serve. In fact, we work with migration, education and migration in regions that are affected by seasonal migration. We work in places which are affected by calamities. We simply cannot afford to be a centralized organization running the show from Delhi with just some staff on the ground. So the problems were with a centralized existing structure. We started having problems because we have about 100 projects out there, and 100 projects are led by 100 people who all report into Delhi. So I have 4 people in Delhi, one for education, one for health, one for livelihoods, another for leadership, who used to handle all the projects from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. In what language, God knows, right? Because there are multiple languages, multiple issues. And then the problems were that you can't have one size fits all at all, especially in a country like India, where states have their own subjects. For example, in education, you can't lay the same spread while implementing NEP 2020 in the north or in Tamil Nadu, where we work, in thousands of schools. So you need those local thinking, local ideas, local strategies, and local people, because the person from north may not be able to work in Karnataka and vice versa. So we decided that we should have a very decentralized structure. So that is not a voluntary decision, that is a rather forced decision that we decentralized. Now what did we do? We didn't think of doing a decentralization ourselves or only by the leaders, but we brought all the team together and talked about the various issues that they're facing currently. And we brought in an agency, which happens to be EY, which supported us with the structure and, the processes. We had to make SOPs for every activity that we were doing. So there is no leadership on the ground. It's only a program leader that used to be running a project on the ground. From there, the challenges which I said, a lot of challenges, it never used to end. Even a small bill, 100 rupees ka bill, has to come to Delhi for approval. And for example, if you've got a training session and your team has budgeted for 100 participants, and the local DEO decides that you should have 20 more trainees, who will pay for them? Who will decide? No authority. Then chaos happens there, because you can't give food to those 20. And the staff pay out of their pocket, again cash, which we can't reimburse. So it was almost like impossible, and we moved into a decentralized mode. It took 6 months to even just strategize. It took 6 more months to get the right people in. Because as I was talking to a few friends here, Today, a leader in the social sector has to be a chartered accountant, has to be a doctor maybe if you're working in health, has to be a lawyer, lawyer definitely yes, okay? You need at least some 10 degrees today if you are to do justice to a leadership role in this sector. With laws changing so rapidly and the compliance is getting tougher and harder, you can't hire a person in Bangalore if he doesn't know that 3/4 of your board outside your office should be written in Kannada and not in any other language. English can only take the rest of the space. If you don't know that, you get non-compliant. Thereafter, so regions started off, we actually moved on everything from finance to all the functions like procurements, everything moved down. We had competent people selected for those roles. A matrix reporting structure came in. It doesn't need to be Delhi anymore. The person heading our PWD programs happens to be from Bangalore. He leads the programs across the country. Likewise, people could work from anywhere within the country. Projects were designed by technical directors in Delhi with the cooperation of the frontline people. And so that was basically the change. Overall in the region, strategy became a regional call. Regions can decide their strategy. Project level decision makings are done there because donors happen to live in the regions. For example, a donor in a program in West would report to a donor in Mumbai. And until now, we used to operate from Delhi, and that never used to work out because you need to be regularly in touch with the donor. And that can happen when you're out there. Project implementation happens from the region. Fundraising has been decentralized to a lot of benefit there. And governments. Now we know the governments very closely because you go there more often. Earlier from Delhi, you can go once and twice a year. Now you can do it every month. What remained in Delhi? Culture. Despite spreading out as an organization, you need to have a unified culture. And that is something that HR leads, but that's intentionally that is being led. Second is governance. You cannot miss that. Third is compliances. Every time, it keeps on increasing. And the latest hire that I have done is of a lawyer who can advise me on each day's new law or new change. And then, of course, technical leadership is very expensive. So we retain in Delhi, and high-value transactions about 2 crores. That also happens from there. So instead of a structure where the country director sits on the top or the board sits on the top and then it goes all the way down, today, the community is where we are in. My teams are there in the community, working with them, determining which programs to do, how to do, and all supported by the regions who are just a handful of states, and just supported by the central structure. So we are an inverted pyramid at this point of time. And then, so AIF's path to becoming a nationwide grassroots NGO. I envy Jigisha, who is actually a grassroots organization, and our quest is to become one, but nationwide. So a stronger voice of the community is coming in. What's actually rolling out in Karnataka will be different from what is rolling out in Nagaland, completely different. But then it follows, the principle that we apply. Decision making, it's all down there. Donors are much, much more happier because decisions are taken on the ground and you're dealing with the donor whenever you need them, just hop over and talk to them. That is one big advantage. The other thing is that government. You're able to meet with the government and create a project which is very much tailored to the state's needs or the region's needs or the district's needs. Until now, we had one size fit all. Everybody has to take it or we can't implement it. And programs became better, higher quality, and then faster. Because a reimbursement that takes 20 days is now happening in 2 days. So people have control over how much they're spending and what they are doing. And obviously, we have left the opportunity to grow much more than where we are currently. So that's the presentation. And if you ask me what is my toughest task ahead, it's actually to identify young people to come and serve who have all these skills and become leaders in different places across India. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Mathew. So my takeaway from Mathew's session, you can have your own, is that if an organization as large and an international organization like American India Foundation can start the process of decentralization, they're seeing the benefits of it. He listed them out, cost, time, then there's certainly something for us to think about. So write down in the next 30 seconds as our next speaker comes up what your takeaway was. And we now have Anurag. Anurag Pratap is the Vice President CSR of Capgemini. Anurag has promised to keep it real. So all this, wonderful things we are saying about decentralization, he's going to tell us both sides of the story. And over to you to keep us grounded.
It's really difficult when you have two powerful speakers saying that decentralize is the right way of doing things. And I'm like, I remember the day when I married my wife, and we decided that all the important decisions and the toughest one, I'll take the call. The call like what will happen in Israel and Palestine fight, I'll decide. I'll decide what will be the economic position of India in the next 5 years. I'll decide who will be the Prime Minister of India. And she is going to decide where we are going for the holidays. She'll decide the smaller ones. So she'll decide which school our kids will study. She'll decide what will get cooked. And she'll decide which car we are going to buy. These are smaller ones because we decided that all the important and bigger and harder ones will get shifted to Anurag there. तो कहानी वैसी होती है कभी-कभी. मैं इसलिए बोल रहा था कि 4:30 बजे का शो नहीं करने का, क्योंकि लोग नहीं आते हैं, लोग चले जाते हैं. इसलिए मैंने लोगों को बोला कि खाना ज़्यादा नहीं खिलाने का, लोग चले जाते हैं. चाय ज़्यादा नहीं पिलाना, लोग चले जाते हैं. बट कभी-कभी लोग नहीं सुनते, डिसेंट्रलाइज नहीं होता है. They were not listening to us. It was more centralized there, saying that no, this is how we'll do it. Okay? I was listening to both the speakers there, and then I was thinking that sometimes we live in a world, or we desire a world which we want it to be. कभी-कभी वो दुनिया देखना चाहते हैं ना, वो सपने बुनना चाहते हैं जहाँ पर सब चीज़ अच्छी होनी चाहिए. Decentralize or centralize, it's all also about where you are in the journey of the organization there. It's also depends on आप कितना बड़े हुए हो, कितना छोटे हो, कितना बड़े हुए हो. End of the day, आप जब compliance का जब नोट भरते हो ना, तो सिग्नेचर नीचे किसका है वो डिटरमाइन करता है कि जेल कौन जाएगा. And that's where the question always is that buck will stop at me. So though Monica is sitting here, she's part of my team, and though I have empowered her to take a call there on every project related to innovation and incubation there, but she knows it very well that आखिरी में फैसला अनुराग करेगा कि होएगा कि नहीं होगा. So you can be empowered enough to do a number of things, but you also realize that there will be one person who will be going in front of the board to present it. And you can't bring in the whole Bharat to make the presentation there. One can always say the decentralized way, and I'm bringing in my own perspective there. I'm trying to challenge. I'm known as someone who brings in antithesis to the thesis there. So take it with that particular pinch of salt there. I always feel that एक argument के 3-4 किनारे हो सकते हैं. So I'm trying to bring in as a development professional, you should also have the view of the other side of Samandar ka kinara. Ek side of Samandar ka kinara looks very interesting there. But I was looking at the picture there. It was very good to see community sitting on the zameen pe, and you can see someone sitting on the chowki there. And when you see the faces there, suddenly you realize, अरे तो कोई और है. The decision shift करता है, move करता है, बट डिसीजन ज़्यादातर उस पैमाने पे होता है कि हम रिकमेंडेशन ले रहे हैं, हम उससे फीडबैक ले रहे हैं, हम उससे ओपिनियन ले रहे हैं, एंड फाइनल कॉल विल देन बेस्ड ऑन वेरियस ओपिनियन जो आता है उसको लेकर आगे चलते हैं. We bring in multiple perspective from the field there. We bring in multiple recommendation from the field there. We bring in multiple opinion from the field there. But imagine a situation there where you start reimbursing based on the local realities there. Colleague बोलेगा कि नहीं 500 रुपए खाने में लगते हैं, दूसरा field बोलेगा नहीं मुझे 700 लगते हैं. Some other field will say that no, it takes around 800 rupees there. You need a framework which needs to be decided at the central level itself there. And then you start operating it at the grassroots there. So decision of the framework get decided at some other level there, and then you start taking it, how you are going to operationalize it at the grassroots there. So we'll have to somewhere also look at where and which stream of things we are saying is decision, and which stream of things we are saying is recommendation there. That's one. Second is also about what size that you are. AIF, beautiful example there. When they were small, it was easier to take centralized things there. The moment you become big, it becomes impossible for you to contain it at one particular location there. You'll have to decentralize it there. Then only you can survive there. Otherwise, if everything start coming to Mathew's table there, Mathew will have only two options. Either check the mental hospital का address or take the next flight to Kailash. ये सब कुछ छोड़कर मैं अब संन्यास लेगा, मैं और कुछ नहीं करेगा. So one need to also look at where you are. So when you go back from this particular room and taking this particular thing, कि नहीं अब सब कुछ decentralize करना है, क्योंकि अभी मुझे लोगों ने बताया कि decentralize is the new romantic idea. वो जो एक मूवी अभी आई नहीं है, सायरा या क्या बोलते हैं उसको, सैयारा. हाँ, मुझे बूढ़ा हो रहा हूँ इस कारण से, I don't remember this ज़ेंजी वाले जो मूवीज आते हैं उसके अंदर में. तो वैसा ही उसी तरह का एक नया आइडिया आ रहा है, डिसेंट्रलाइज, सब कुछ डिसेंट्रलाइज करेंगे. Don't do that. Look at where you are, the kind of organization that you are, size that you have, the processes that you are running in, the types of organization that you are having, kinds of members that you have, and then take a call there. Because the setup like ours, for example, I lead a CSR team of around 17 people, CSR, then another 35 sustainability. If I make all of them to take calls on their own side there, I'll have a most difficult time with my leadership and also with my board there. Because everyone then based on their own comfort, एक बोलेगा कि आज मैं घर से काम करेगा, दूसरा बोलेगा आज मैं ऑफिस से काम करेगा, तीसरा बोलेगा मैं रेलवे स्टेशन से काम करेगा. So because everyone is going to take their own calls there. Somewhere you need to come out with a policy to say that, hey, this is how you need to operate there. So I'm giving a framework to operate there. So for CSR kind of organization, it becomes very difficult there. For grassroots in multiple locations there, you need to empower your members to start taking certain calls based on the agreed framework there. You don't allow everyone to make their own framework there. The moment everyone start making their own framework there, then you will get into a situation where one organization, 384 framework there, just on finance and reimbursement there, and then everyone will have a different take on how they are clearing those reimbursement forms there, and then your auditor will sit on your head. Say कि इसमें से ज़्यादा पैसा तुमने खाया है, because the CEO, you are the CEO there, and because they'll suddenly find that in Kashmir, per diem is 800 rupees, in Rajasthan, per diem is 1800 rupees, and Delhi, this is becoming 5,000 rupees, because everyone has taken a call there. So you need to understand that when both the speakers were talking about decentralized, they were talking from one particular context point of view. So all of us need to understand the context in which we are operating, identify the phase of the organization that you are in right now, and then understand the kind of community that you are dealing with or kind of people that you are dealing with. Once you make those matrices there, then it becomes very important to decide what kind of decision will move into the central pool and what kind of decision can be decentralized at various levels there. जब एक हमेशा बोलते हैं ना कि सबको ट्रांसपेरेंसी 100% ट्रांसपेरेंसी होनी चाहिए. My question always has been that कितना ट्रांसपेरेंट, क्योंकि I can't be 100% transparent. I can't tell you कि घर में बीवी से कितनी बार डांट सुना हूँ मैं. I can't tell you that. So और I can't tell my team also कि कितनी बार मैं बॉस से डांट सुन चुका हूँ. I can only tell them कि इस लेवल तक ये काम होने का है. Similarly with the decentralized format of decision making also, one need to understand where we are going to put a break there or gate there to say that इसके आगे नहीं. लेकिन there is a huge amount of benefit of going that particular way there. Huge amount, because you start making your people very, I got it. Yeah. You start getting, or you start making your people very empowered there. They suddenly realize that I have the power to change the way we are operating at the field level. I also have an opinion there. I can make I can shout and raise my voice there to tell people that, hey, this is how we should be doing things there. That brings in huge amount of agility to the organization where you're working in, because people start responding on the real-time basis. They are not waiting for the head office to respond back. And head office may go on a leave also. Suddenly Mathew may decide that I need to take a vacation there, to Egypt or Greece or to any other place there, and he is not available on phone there. So people can't, the grassroots is not going to wait till he comes back there. So the decentralized has its own benefit there, but you can't make it too romantic an idea to say that everyone at all the time needs to go make it decentralized there, because the moment you'll start doing it, you'll have number of issues also that which will creep in there. So you need to start looking into various systems, various processes, various framework and SOPs to decide that this, you can take a call for this, beta abhi tum chote ho, thoda aur samay lagega. And that's the reason why we say, baal ud jana, baal safed ho jana, it's a good sign कि अब तुम तैयार हो चुके हो. That's the reason why they gave me the last opportunity to talk. कि अब तुम ही बोलोगे, तुम ही रोकोगे इसको. Thank you everyone. God bless you.
Anurag delivered as promised. He kept it real. So as you see, we went through why, what through Mathew, what to decentralize, and then we had Anurag tell us how and how not, right? So what is the kind of framework? Where are you in your organization? How's the energy in the room? Good? I only see one head nodding. Is that, oh, I see blues. Yes. Okay, excellent. Okay. I need you to now take out your pens again and write down what in your organization, what are the decisions in your organization that you think can be decentralized? Today, as a leader in your organization, what are the things that come to you like, Arey yaar, just decide, why are you coming to me for everything? What are those decisions that you can decentralize? If you're middle management or lower in the organization, what are decisions that you actually think you could be making right now? But for every sad question, you have to go back to your CEO. Right? So what needs to change within your organization to enable that? Is it the culture? Is it the framework that Anurag talked about? Is it the people? Do you need a new CEO? Or CSR head? And in order to make that change, what action are you going to do? Again, I'm going to ask some of you to share this, so think about. If I don't have volunteers, then maybe I'll volunteer people. I did warn you that you will be doing most of the work today. Although I have to say, our speakers, some of our speakers prepped a lot. Just teasing you. We can take another 3 minutes. Would that be enough? Then. Again, if you're okay with us documenting this, please raise your hand. Somebody will come and take a picture. Hopefully you don't have a doctor's handwriting. Yeah. Anyone done and willing to get your, not your photograph, but your paper's photograph taken? Your photograph also he'll take. So the framework that we gave you today was to think about culture, people capacity, your senior management, mindset, and processes. Does anyone want to share on any of these? आपको share करना है? Since you finished first.
I wish I could have given a presentation after Anurag also. I could have contested few points there. So, very sincerely, me and there are my team. I'm from one stage, New Delhi. Our team members are here, 3-4 people. I was talking to Anurag. What I will do going after that, I'll ask my team members, compile this sheet, and give a presentation on Tuesday as staff meeting.
Excellent.
Sincerely, very helpful. Sincerely, very well curated, very helpful. I was thinking where does it pinches? Because I have taken over recently, 8 months from now, not thoroughly biased what was there, not thoroughly against kind of things, and try to think what we are doing. We have recently started a journey of cluster cost centers. So I'm saying one stage is one NGO, there will be 4 NGO below this. Each NGO will have their own cost center. They will mobilize fund, use, show impact, grow their size as much as that. Some values will be there, even culture. I have bit of disagreement with Mathew also. When we say our strategy will be centralized, how can culture be centralized? It can't. If your strategy are changing from each area, culture will also get changed accordingly. That's what I'm saying, cannot be. If your strategy is area specific, suppose you have a specific in Northeast strategy and your strategy drastically change for the South, culture will also change.
What he said, I hadn't mentioned. You have an SOP within which they have to live.
Then your strategy is not 100% decentralized.
You give the borders the
Strategy, if you put strategy and culture, either centralized or decentralized, I agree to that point. Coming back to that same point, I was talking to my team, how can we have cost center decentralized and what we need to change. And believe me, this all 3-4 part one is culture, people capacity, senior management capacity and processes. So today we have started writing down SOPs with minor changes for each of the area. Slowly, maybe 3 years down the line, there might be, say, East, Northeast will have maybe 16 SOPs. The Northern Delhi area might have 6. It depends on that specific area. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
Quite useful. I believe it will be useful for all of us.
Great, thank you.
Available here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I didn't plant this question. We only met outside, so. But thank you. Anybody else wants to share? This was really insightful. This is after Kumar, this gentleman there.
I would like to say what Mr. Anurag has said,
Yes,
that it depends on the age of the organization or the
scale of it, yeah.
at what stage what is required. Sometimes centralized is required, and as we grow, we can go for
Yeah. Do you want to give an
I have seen
example?
it happening in my organization all over during my career in public sector, private sector, or NGOs is joint venture. So very well, really covered by Mr. Anurag. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sir.
Very interesting 3-dimensional view of decentralization. One is championing decentralization, one is contesting decentralization, and one is clearly demonstrating decentralization. So this is, no. So But anyway, you have challenged many aspects. But anyway, there is a lot of reasoning. What my reflection on this process is that I am a pro bono functionary in the social sector right now at this stage. So I get to see growth of a independent NGOs, standalone NGO. I also oversee a complex structure, which is a coalition which consists of many NGOs and institutions and individuals. And I also look after international affiliated settings focused on particular themes like health, education, etc. So my take is from these three presentations that decentralization is a very powerful need today. Because if you decentralize, you will be able to be very responsive to the community, because in the social sector we work for the community. That is fundamental. So decentralization is essential and is the most powerful tool. Then second takeaway is that there are certain functions that really has to be centralized, but with a decentralization flavor. Like in the morning I was listening to the presentations and all that, like how this consultation process across the hierarchy, like once a donor, like I'll be very specific, the USAID administrator was visiting the field with me. Then he, at the community setting, he asked that, is it community participation or community involvement or community managed? Pratis was there probably with me in that visit. So that was the kind of question one will always try to find out. So we have to, my takeaway from these three presentations is that there are certain functions which cannot be or may not be fully decentralized, like strategy making. So uncertain things can be done partially, but there has to be an engagement of the stakeholders across.
Thank you,
The
sir.
third takeaway is that in the current situation, current legal situation in India, there are certain things which has to be centralized, like a compliance. If the compliance is not centralized, you don't know what will happen tomorrow to you. So, and this, the compliance structure, compliance process, compliance protocol is changing every day. Every day you see that new regulation, new protocols are coming. So, and previously NGOs never used to look at lawyers. Today, a good sized NGO must have a lawyer. And board member, now we have started saying that board matrix, we say there has to be one board member who has got a legal background.
Sir, we'll need to move to others also. Thank you. Thank you so much. Can I get one last person? I want a woman because I come from Educate Girls. Yeah. Okay. Anusha. Oh, no, here.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Anusha from Educate Girls. I just wanted to share that since we are also a very highly decentralized organization, so maybe along with the great insights from the speakers about the framework, to work with the framework and having SOPs and all, but I think maybe involve the stakeholders in understanding what is their expertise in. So for frontline workers, maybe they understand the community better, so they can maybe take certain decisions at their level and leave the rest to the central team. Yeah.
So what
that,
decisions are taken where?
Yes.
That itself should be a decision. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. So
I think there was a question or something.
I could just add.
Sorry, just adding to that. Yeah.
It's actually a mix, because there is a lot of ground level learning which we definitely need, and I think structures are very important. It can't be very ad hoc now anymore. And that's what I feel, that's what we really got back from your talk, Matthews. So I think structured feedback, which can become part of centralized decisions at this point of time for us, that's where we are.
Great. One last comment, and yeah.
The point that I wanted to highlight is that decentralization will usually lose its meaning if the people whom we are decentralizing to do not understand the why of it.
Yeah.
So one cultural derivation that I would like to stress upon and probably take away is that eventually we as nonprofits are also custodians of what we need to do for the communities tomorrow. So it is not necessary that what founders have imagined 5 years back or 10 years back will always hold true for the communities 15 years down the line also.
Right.
We might even need to oppose the policies laid by the state. We might even need to change the program completely what has been envisioned by the founders. So that understanding of why and a critique element within the middle management as well as everybody driving the program right from top to bottom and daily asking why we do what we do, that is extremely necessary and that will make decentralization really necessary.
Great. Thank you. I'm going to come back to our questions and the color sheets that you have. So do you believe that decentralized decision making is actually possible in your organization? Blue, blue, blue. Sorry? Not fully. So yellow. I see a red though. Do you want to share? Not share? Not share. That's fine. I respect that. Do you want to share why yellow? No, all the decisions are decentralized. Fair. Okay. Thank you. Question 5, if we can go to. They've disappeared. Mathew, you have the clicker? Oh, change. Okay, thank you. Question 5. If yes, most of you had blues. We had maybe 3 yellows. If yes, do you feel like you have thoughts, ideas, next steps that you got from this session that will help you? This is feedback for me. But it's not anonymous feedback, so I'm going to take it with a pinch of salt. No, that's fine. Thank you. I want to conclude with just another minute and remind us that while all of this is great, decentralization, the idea, the frameworks, the structure, what questions, at the end of the day, you cannot pass on decision making to another level if you haven't built their capacity to make those decisions. Right? So they need to have the information, like Jigisha mentioned. They need to have the framework that both Mathew and Anurag talked about, but they need to have the skills and resources to be able to make those decisions. So we need to invest in the decision-making capacity of our people. And as leaders, we need to do 2 things. 1, let go. And 2, have their back when they make a wrong decision. Like how do you create a safe space where sometimes wrong decisions happen? But how do you then allow that person to make another decision because now they've learned? Right? So 2 things for leaders. Build capacities, create a safe space, and actually 3rd one, allow for mistakes. Thank you so much for being a wonderful, engaging audience. Thank you to my fellow speakers who complied with every request for calls and the harassment from my side. So thank you for all of that. And I think we have had a wonderful audience today. So thank you.
Thank you, Gayatri. Thank you, Mathew. Thank you, Jigisha. Thank you, Anurag, for such an interesting session. I hope you guys found it useful, and I hope we stick to our promise that we will make it experiential. Thank you for such engaging audience as well, asking and sharing your comments with all of us. Now, I would like Shweta Prakash, Center Lead, Center for Data Science and Social Impact, to express our gratitude to our speakers. Can the volunteer give the... Yeah, can I ask speakers to come on stage one by one, please? Yes. Jigisha, Mathew, Gayatri, Anurag. And I also want to mention that the certificates presented to our speakers mark a small planet-forward step by growtrees.com through an e-certificate while doing social good by planting trees. Clappings, please. Yes.